Alright guys, in this tutorial we're going to cover the famous Liquify tool, which you've probably seen 1.5 million women use poorly on their Facebook photos, trying to either make themselves look a little thinner or maybe adding some size to some different things. But it's almost always misused, and the number one reason why is you should use this tool in moderation. This is not meant to enlarge the top half of your body if you're a female, overwhelmingly so. It's not meant to push your thighs in about 1.5 million times so it looks like you have little stick legs, or maybe to add a little bit more of the back hinds. So let's look at this from a perspective of a professional photographer and say, why would we use the Liquify tool and how should I use it? So you have your photograph here. Personally, this photograph is fine. I just want to show you how to use this Liquify tool. So you're going to make your way over to the filter menu option, and you're going to come down, and here it is, the Liquify tool. And for me, it's Shift Command X, and you're going to want to go ahead and click that. And it's going to pop open this new window. Don't worry, your photograph is still behind that, but you have this new window where you can manipulate but not change your original image until you're done manipulating. Okay, so this Liquify tool is basically what it sounds like. It's going to liquefy your image wherever your brush is. So you can come over here with this size tool, and if we crank it all the way up, look, you can't even see how big the brush is, because it's just so big. So to the right makes it larger, and to the left makes it smaller. I don't know if you can even see that little tiny dot. So there we go. So the key to this is actually, if you want to make some changes, I would actually make the brush as big as you possibly can to fit in the area that you want to make bigger. So if we were to zoom in on this woman's face and we wanted to make her eyes a little bigger, what we would do is just click and drag, and you got to make sure everything's proportionate, otherwise it's going to look real funky. So I'm going to click and drag, and this one's going to be, I'm just clicking and dragging here, I'm not doing anything super fancy. And maybe let's tighten up her nose just a little bit. And you can see how they can Photoshop people. And this is what people usually think Photoshop means, is to use this Liquify tool and completely manipulate the way someone looks. But Photoshop is supposed to enhance a photo but not over warp it, right? So if we're making some adjustments like I am now, this is really extensive Photoshop work. This is not something that maybe a routine person is going to use Photoshop for on a daily basis. So as we come out here, I've made her mouth rather small, thinned her nose, and given her these big doe eyes. And maybe if I just raise her eyebrows just a little, we can get a little funky here. I don't want to make her look too unrealistic. I still want people to recognize that she's human. I'll straighten out her chin here a little bit, make sure that it's completely proportionate and symmetrical. That looks pretty good. Okay, so she almost looks like a doll right now, and that's kind of the point, right? Bigger eyes, smaller nose, small mouth. Doesn't look like this person is real, and if I come over here, I can hit this Restore All button, and it'll take this all back, but I don't want to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK, and you see it changed my image. So if I were to duplicate this, and then I were to go to my background copy, and I'm going to art history brush this. So I'm going to crank up the size. And you can't see it right now because it's under the layer, but watch this. So there's a big difference there, right? You can see this image compared to what it was before, and it's a lot different. There's just no question about it. The Liquify tool can do some amazing changes, but if we were to go back in and pick the Liquify tool again, and we were to say, oh, I want to make her eyes very squinty, like, you can see how it can get out of hand real quick if you're not careful with what you're doing, and someone's going to come in here, I just know it, is going to watch this tutorial, and they're going to completely mess themselves up and think that it looks fantastic. Please, please, please use this sparingly, but it is an incredibly powerful tool if you use it in moderation. So you don't want to look like this. You want to use this in moderation, and when you go into Filter Liquify, just remember, pick a brush size that's going to fit inside of what you're trying to edit, and also try to use this in moderation, because if you overdo it, everyone's going to know. And that's the Liquify tool.